A very good morning, students. Myself, Professor Neha. Today we'll be starting the chapter that is called Types of Education Administration. Now, it was a long back previously, whatever we have been learned. So we'll just brush it out, whatever the concept, which we will be just also discussing into this. But previously going into this part of the chapters, but previously we'll be seeing out whatever the concept we have been learned. Into the last sessions we have been learned about what is education, what is management, what is administration. We have combined those words with education and administrations, and then afterwards we got to know how education institution works. Whenever you want to plan or planning to set up any kind of institution, so on that time what are the rules and regulations, and with the help of rules and regulations how the UGC according to the university granted commission, means that is called the UGC who gives the permission, and through that kind of permissions we are having different levels of authorities and different levels of the people, and through this the thing is what we are getting out the information, and with the help of that part of information we are planning out the institution. Now into last lectures we have been learned about the different part of segments of education, what is education, how education works, how institution works. Then afterwards we have been learn about it, the constitution, the rights, the word right to education. Now into the constitutions we have been got to know different types of right of education, right of equality, right of fraternity, a different right which has been given. But according to the constitutions, the thing is what the major preferences which was given by the education, because from the education system only the thing is it will be growing faster and faster, because we are into the developing one. We are into the developing nations. So through this developing nations, the thing is what education is given the priorities. So that is why government, we have been discussed this also, that government has been given different types of setups, different types of planning sources, and through that part of planning sources, even certain exemption is also given for the education, and certain rights is also given for the children, and so that the thing is what who can pursue a proper education into the proper age. So on that time, but even we have been discussed that previously into the so many years before when the constitution was built, and through certain period of time the thing is what when the constitution was built, so on that time people was not that much more encouraged through the studies, but then afterwards once giving the priorities to the education and giving the priorities to the administration department of a constitution, through which the thing is the government has been growing more and more, and through that part of the surrounding one, finally the thing is what the right to education, the concept which it is given a major priority. Even we have been discussed about it, if certain period of time, if certain through certain age, if the candidate, if a children is like not completed his education, so through the any part of age, the thing is he can do the study. The government has given this kind of priorities. Now even into the last session we have been discussed about the total Six Sigma related informations and total quality management, that is called a TQM. How the management works, because an education system works with the management. If the management certain rules, regulations, I guess you might be even we have been learned about it, you might be knowing, we have been discussed about planning, organizing, directing, controlling, staffing. These are the different type of system, and these are the different type of managemental skills, and through that part of particular skills, the thing is what the education system works. We have been learning, we have already learned the word leadership, how leadership quality it has been developed through that particular way, and through that particular way of leadership system, the thing is the skills are developed, the certain type of rules and certain type of way of behavior it has been developed, and through that part of all system, the thing is what the management works. So into each and every organizations we have been learning through management, through administrators, through with the help of this two different type of people and through different type of words related a form of making out the institution into the certain kind of pinnacle. Already we are into the book of education, administrations and management. The concept, the heading, the topic which has been related, that is education, administration and management. The word, the three words which has been with the help of these three words, it has been merged and we have been learned a different type of rules and regulations, and through that part of rules and regulations we got to know how education is given major priorities, and through this part of it we have been also learn about how administrators and certain managemental skills, and through that both concept finally the thing is what we are getting out certain kind of new way of we are getting a new way of rights and new way of things of in education, because according to this you can plan different type of sources for the education part. Now today we'll be going with the two chapters. I have one, types of education administrators, and second is education planning. These are the two different type of chapters what we will be discussing today. The first I'll be going with the help of this, that is called types of education administrator. Means before moving into the chapter into the depth, first we'll just we'll just brush it out whatever some concepts, we'll just summarize some concepts. Types of educations administrators, you will be seeing about two different types, okay. One is democratical, you will be learning about it, and second part it will be certain kind of technically, and how the thing is with the help of this type of two different types of it, the totalitarianism and democratical. These are the two different part of where the education administrator works. One which is only total related with the help of your social, economical, political, this culture way, and through this part of it he is running out with the education system, and one will be related with the democratical, like a certain concept like particular leaders, he is been taking particular leaders, and through that particular leaders finally the thing is what he's showing out the education system how it has been growing. So first we will be learning this two different type of concepts, and then afterwards internally depth you will be learning about it, how this different type of education system has been worked, and through that part of administrators the thing is what it has been moving faster and faster. So these are the two different point of it where the thing is the types what we will be discussing about it. Some internal concept related to the education, that also you will be learning. One more chapter what I have said to you, that is education planning. What is education? You will be learning about what is education, what is a planning, and through that both word as it has been mixing out, that is education and planning. So how the new different type of scenario it has been covered up with the education, and how what are the priorities are given for an education planning. Even what are the future plans, because education is not based on just reading out those books. It is like giving out certain different type of dimensions and planning according to that way, that at demographical way you can change your school map also, different type of scenario, technical way, certain modern way of showing out. Even into it you'll be seeing about new trends of how the thing is you can make it out, the new plannings of an education system, of an you can plan according to that part. So already you might be learning with the social sides right now through this part the educations, and you can plan according to that way, so at least each and every people will be connected through that part of it. So that new trends also you will be learning into this part of it, and so at least you will be getting a clear cut scenario related that how the priorities are given to planning, because in any kind of scenario we have already been learned previously that in organization only the planning it has been done. So education, when related to study part, education is also one type of organization. So through that part of it, how in organization how we do the planning, the same we need to plan the education relating to syllabus, relating to school, pre-schoolings, then post-schooling, college, institutions, if there is any kind of sources, different type of sources where you can spread the the educations, with the different type of giving modules and all. So that all parts you will be learning into the planning. Okay, so this the concept, it is what I just given a brush up. We'll be going internal into the depth right now, because after moving into this part of it, you'll be getting a clear-cut idea about it. What are the main sources? What are the main types of it, and why this kind of words are being used? Okay, I'll just move to the first slide. Okay, now moving into it, first we are seeing into the types of education system administration. First chapter, education is the process of transmissions of a knowledge from one generation to another to bring positive behavior changes. Obviously, this is one part of it where education first. What do you mean by education? It is like just transferring the knowledge, sharing the knowledge, and from one generation to another generation. The thing is what this education, it has been going on. Education is the process of social adjustments and self-realization of an individual. Why education is given? Because according to this, certain self-respects, it is being developed. So that is why, and according to that part of it, you can adjust yourself for an individual, and according to this, you can realize like what are the positive views, what are the corrective measures where you can follow. Education is not preparation for a life. Education is a life itself. Okay, it's not like that you are learning only to develop your life, but here it is for your learning for yourself. It is not for like to live the life. It is like not like that you are eating a food to live the life. You're eating the food because what you, according to that, as if you consume the food, you are internally you feel certain kind of positivity, and then afterwards you leave. So that is the two main different. It's not a preparation of life. So here, when related to education, there is no preparation in the life, but it's the life of itself. Itself means your own self. That is why you're doing an education. So at least what you can develop, according to that part of it, you can develop your self-respect. So that is why this is what, according to the author, it has been said, this part of it, that is called an education. Now, what is education administrator? Now, it is an administration or a management of an institution designed to foster teaching and learning. What is education administrator? This is the one part of it where through the administrator, and we have the different type of management institutions, and through that part of management institution, the thing is what we make changes. That is why this part of administrative system, it has been developed, and through that part of developing way where the thing is was teaching and learning system you can develop, and through where the thing is what you can go it into the longer process. This institution includes public and private schools. Both the different types of schools are been involved, because according to that particular way of schools, as if it has been involved. So through that part of it, you can get it out the idea. Technical educational college. Okay, you have a special education institution, public and private university. All the things are been included into the educational administrator, because through that different part of education institutions, the administration, it has been developed. Now, again, education resources centers, that is why we have been opened the education institution, education resources center, school district forum, regional directoral, federal provision, division, government, department of education, and other institutions foster teaching and learning. You have a different type of governmental system through which the administrator works, and through that part of it, the teaching and learning process, it has been also been set up. The management or an administrators of this broad ranges of institutions support the notions that education administrator is a field of the practices. So here the thing is what, through this particular way of different type of system, the education administrators, and according to that part of it, the fields of practices you can done according to that part of requirement. So you can develop your different type of sources according to this part of way. Now, What are the importance of education administration? Why the thing is what it is given a major priority? For the purpose of becoming an efficient leaders and managers who is in charge of an education institution needs to be familiar with the theoretical concept and the best practices relating to the education administration. Now, why this part of education performance it has been done through which you can develop certain kind of effective and certain kind of new changes into that part of particular way. So at least what you can have a clear-cut ideas relating to how the management and institution and even the thing is what managers can work into certain kind of zone. If in trying to gain a good understanding of education administrator, we have to make a certain assumption, and through that part of it, getting out the practical and theoretical way of experience through that both part of it, finally the thing is what we are getting a proper way of idea, and according to that part of it we can assumed, because into this first you need to assume and finally then afterwards you need to prepare. So if you assumed and according to that part of assumption only you can perform a different type of zone into different type of field, which where you can get a more and more different type of way of thoughts through theoretical and practical way of experience. So here the thing is what you need to develop different type of zone. Now, organizations are essentials and it is impossible to avoid the influence of different types of organization on human life. So here it is organization is an essential, means an institution it is an essential. But it is impossible where you can't avoid those human lives also because of not getting out the information properly. So you can't avoid that also. Administrator can perform useful functions within an organization. So usually within an organization only, means through the institution only the administrator works, and through that part of only the thing is what they can gain a different type of process. Knowledge and understanding of organization behavior, and through that part of it, as this is the some part of human behaviors you can say about it when we are learning about this part of it, how important you can say education administrator it has been there. So the education administrator it has been related with not only just developing that self, only not even developing the education part, but here you need to have the certain kind of human life process where you can show some different type of behavior changes, and to that particular way of changes only you can set up with the help of different type of an ideas. Education organizations and administrators have some unique characters that deserve the distinct treatment. Now, through this part of it, education administrators, you have a different part of the people, and through this different types of and different part of the people, you can have a different type of treatments through which the thing is what you can show some different type of assumptions and different types of behaviors and different types of characters through which the thing is what you can make it out some different type of changes. So that is why this is also one part of it where you can say about it, you can use a distinct way of treatments through which the thing is what you can show the development. Now, what is administrators and management? In the present literatures, the two terms are being used to convey more or less the same meaning. Now, when we are using these two words, administrations and management, it's a meaning, it's the same meaning, but the thing is what into the new generation type, means at present previously we used to say administrators, but currently the thing is what we used to use the word management. In the Britain and the system mainly influenced by the British system, the term management is preferred. Usually in Britain, usually they doesn't use the word administrators. Into British one they use the word that is management. In the content of a business and industry, the term management is commonly used. Now, nowadays, into any part of scenario or any part of system, whenever it will be there, business or any part of industry, we use the word that is called a management, because through that part of only we are getting out the idea, and through that part of it, that word it has been commonly used. So normally mostly into the organizations, any kind of organization usually they have been using that is called a management, because through that part of only management certain new skills and leadership skills are been also developed. Now, certain discipline administrations has also been there through education, because when you are performing to that part of it, so certain discipline action it has been also been performed. Education administrations is an applied is an applied field and not a discipline like chemistry or a history. Here it is not like that, it's a chemistry or history where you put a certain chemical, but here it is what applied field, you need to apply that thing. So that is why through that part of only the thing is what this administrative system, it will be growing properly. As an applied field, it has much in the common with other applied fields such as engineering and medicine. Okay, so like when we are using applied field means here, so how we are using engineering and medical, this both field how we are using this, so you need to take a capture of this too, and finally how we are using your certain different techniques, and through that part of techniques finally the thing is what we are getting an idea about it. So that part of it you need to see it about it. We know that engineering has to build on disciplines such as mathematics and physics. So when I'm using the word engineering, so here how the engineering works, it works with the discipline action, because through this part of discipline zone only I will be getting out the proper way of an idea. Through that part of it I can run with the management. So how through mathematics certain kind of technical zone and certain kind of physics, and through that both particular way of mixture finally we are getting out that way of disciplinary actions which you can maintain into education administrative process. Medicines, when it has been said, it is like autonomy and biology. These are the two different type of where mixtures where you can use into that part of particular way of system, and then afterwards you can grow it into the larger one. Similarly, education administrator has to build upon basic disciplines such as psychological, sociological, political science and economics. So this is the most important where education administrator works. How the administrator works? The administrator works with the help of the certain disciplinary zone, that is psychological way, social, political science and economic. And through that all part of mixture finally the thing is what the administrator works. We must be understood that the concept of those disciplines cannot be borrowed indiscriminately, but have to adapt and tested in education setting. Here it is what here you need to adopt. It is not like that those concepts you cannot be just argue it or any part of it, like you can't even just borrow from someone, then you can say about it like you do this thing only, it is our duty, it's our responsibility. Here it is not there. Here it is what the way you need to adapt that thing, you need to follow. Adapt means it is what here you need to follow, because through that part of only following you can develop the education settings, and through that particular way of settings only the thing is what the disciplinary way of actions and disciplined way of maintenance you can done through the education. So that is why this particular way of system it is being used into the system. It is true that teachers are aware of such problems and issues on decision making. Okay, so here usually you can say teachers are mostly and major, it has been like they have been involved into one such kind of problem it has been coming, or any kind of issues, and if they want to give the any part of answer, so they are at decision making. They have a leadership quality, communication for the perspective of the classroom teachers and not as an administrator, because here when related with the administrator process, it is when teachers are knowing their own way of discipline and action, but when related to the administrators, the teachers are not aware with about the administrators. They are having the different part of management, and through that part of management they are making out a certain way of proper way of ideas, and through that particular way of an ideas they are getting out the proper and easy way of concepts, and through that part of it only the thing is what they can set up that part of administrative system into the organization. The task of administration is to view these problems and issues from the new perspectives. Now, if there is any kind of task it is given, and if there is any kind of issue, so ultimately through new way of perspectives, through new way of ideas, the administrator who must see the organization as a whole, not just the lecturer in the classroom situation. So he will be, or he won't be seeing about as a teacher or a lecturer how it has been performing, but here it is what he needs to view about it, how to, with the help of new different type of concept, because here we are giving the major impact for the teaching and for the lecturer, but the thing is what the first major importance we are giving for an education administrator, because through this part of an administration, if the process is going properly, so ultimately we won't be having any kind of problem, because through that part of only the thing is what we can change out the new scenario, we can give out the different type of perspectives, and through that part of it major major connection relating to that particular way of thinking and to way of the system. Now, the task of in this we have already completed. We will move within the other slides. Now, what is the job of education administrators? The basic purpose of education administration is to enhance teaching and learning. The main thing it is what? Teaching and learning perspectives, the main purpose. Administrator serves an instrument or a support role and not a primary role. So here it is administration is that kind of zone where he supports, and through that part of support only the thing is what they perform a proper way of an idea about how to display a different new concept relating to the education institution. So he is not one type of primary role. Okay, it's a secondary role. So that is why he just only supports that part of it. Many administrative activities do not deal directly with the students. The relationship of this activity to the teachers, teaching and learning are not alwaysly apparent. So here it is what they directly don't deal with the children because they have the connection relating to the teachers, and through that part of only relationships they connected with it, and finally whatever the different type of zone related it will be there through teaching and learning process if they want to change it out. So here you can show according to that way, because through this part of only movement you can get out the new way of an idea. So this is the job of an education administrator. There are the number of distinct functions that an administrator should perform to enhance teaching and learning. Okay, through this particular way of scenario, they have a different type of functions, and through this different type of functions, finally the thing is what administrator can move into different type of zone, and through that particular way of different type of zone, they can develop the teaching and learning. She or he should design and influence the development of sharing vision for an education institution or organization she or he leads. Now, in whatever organization direction it has been there, so according to that part of directions, they need to share the vision. They need to just make out that part of an ideas where they can discuss about the future concept, and through that particular way of future concept, they get influence, and through that part of an influence, finally the thing is what they can give out the new shapes and new way of ideas of developing the education administration. Now, he or she should articulate shared visions and involve others in setting the goal and developing the strategies for realizing of the shared vision. Now, here, whatever the visions as it has been shared about it, so here each and every peoples are getting involved and they are being said about it, and through that part of it involvement, they can share a particular way of goal also, because through that particular way of goal only the thing is what, because as the visions are being shared and it is as you are planning for according to that part of particular visions, and so you can develop a different type of new perspectives to which part of perspective you can develop. You can make a target, and according to that particular way of targets you can start with the help of development. The goal may reside in the culture of communities, of a school or the particular organization. If so, they would be identified perhaps made explicit. Now here it is made according to the cultures and communities, and according to that part of it you can share your vision, and through that part of it you can set a goal for the future plan. So according to that part of it you can see it about it whether if it has been going into the correct direction or not. So the administrators should have this all things to be followed, because as if he has been following this different type of concept, then only he can grow a larger into the different form, because as if he has been growing into the larger into different form, there he will be getting a major impact relating to this particular way of teaching and to make the administrator strong. and through which part of it organization also strong. Now what are the functions of education administrator? What are the things he just look it out when he's performing this part of it? He been pointed out the education administration has three different functions. First, administering the meaning. He should know about what are the things and how the meanings it has been coming, and through that particular way how it has been following. Administering the communities, what are the different part of communities, and through that particular way how he has been showing out with the help of new ideas. Administering the excellence, where he has been showing with the help of different type of way of zone, and through this particular way of it how he is being able to capture some particular way of a point of it, and where he can get a major ideas relating to that particular way of excellence he can develop with the help of an excellence. Now we'll be seeing about it the three different type of functioning through which the meaning. Administrators are expected to ensure that the schools are able to provide opportunity for the students to discover the meaning in their world, the meaning of nature, human affairs, human relationship, enabling them to learn beyond the memorizing superficial knowledge for the success at examination. Now here when I'm using the word administrating, the three words what we have been learned right now. So that's part of it. When administrating, it is what the administrator should expect to ensure the school, that to each and every into the school, that each and every particular children should know about it, the word, and given them an opportunity of discovering certain new different type of meaning through the human relationship, and through the human relationship way of movements, how we connect it through self-respect, to self-realizations as an individual, and through that part of it how we are sharing out the knowledge also. So this thing should also be developed through the administrating process. Administering means demand the learning in the school is grounded upon human concern. It's connected to the major cultural activities of societies and attend to the realizing of everyday's life. So here when we are learning about administrating through related to the school, so here it is what they are being grounded with the help of each and every people, and through that part of it activities, your human relationships it has been shown, and through that part of human relationship finally how the attachment it has been given to the people, and the school are given of that part of an opportunity that how to make yourself certain new type of development through the everyday of a life, because through this only you can show the new kind of changes to the way of interacting with the people. So this is what an administrative ones where it is being shown. Now, when related with communities demands that the administrators endeavor to transform the traditional separations of individual from the communities into the essential union. So here it is what they have been seen here when related to the community, where traditional way you are following, but even with this parallelly as an individual, you should move according to the community wise also, because through this only you can show the different part of development. Creating more opportunity for cooperating learning and teamwork towards the creation of learning, organizations should encourage them. And so here, even through this part of communities, the thing is what the opportunity it is given for the peoples to come out with the good ideas, and to set and to develop different type of goals through teamwork sources, because through the teamwork sources finally they can get new and different type of development, and they can be a more creative relating to that particular way of learning, because your through way of creation they are getting out the organization more, and administrative organization more encouragement to the people to get out and to come out with the new different type of ideas. So that is why we are going with the help of this type of administrative community also. In addition, administrator introduced the concept of organic management in the administrative communities to mean management by the commitment rather than the control. So here, even it has been taught about it that there should be a management by the commitment. Here commitment is more, but the thing is what the control should not that much, because if you keep a control and if there is no commitment, so that doesn't make the sense. So here it is what first the thing is what the commitment should, this word should also be learned by the administrators, and because through this part of only the thing is what they will be getting a different type of developments, and they will be getting an encouraged also. Now, democratical educations, that already have been said, there are two different types of it. That is totalism educations, and second it is what two different types of what the chapter it has been read, the types of education system. The first it is what a totally education. So first whatever we have been learned, that is called a total way of education, where it has been developed. You can see about it all the word economical, social, political, whatever it was there. So we have been learned about it the previously, how human relationship, human life should be there. So that all different type of concept comes into the totalization. Now second it is what democratical. Democratical education, what do you mean by that part of the institution of the institution of democratic educations in America define democratical and education as learning the equipments every human beings to participate fully in the healthy democratic. Now here it is what even here the humans are being dealt, but with the help of the human here, the healthy way of democracy means all are having that kind of freedoms where they can come up with the new ideas, and through that part of it ideas, finally the thing is what they can show a certain type of human participations relating to it. Here the participant fully in the healthy democratic. Here you should not be a fear. Here you should come with the eye of an eye, different type of ideas and come out with the encouragements, and through that part of an encouragement you can deal out with the people. So that is why these are the two. First, tutoring means the whatever we have been learned, it was a mixture of all different type of skills, you can say about social, political, economical, okay, culturally, where each and everything was there. But when related with democratical, this is just a freedom where they are giving out the participation zone, through that part of it, encouraging to them to come into the human life. As you every in the human life, they should come out with the part of an they should come out with the part of a democratical and freedom, where they can come out with the new different types of goal also. So that is why this part it is being seen. Now, we will be seeing for educations to be a democratical, it must be holistic education. Okay, here when we are using democratical way of education, so is to be holistic education, not prospective and not limited for the four walls of the class. So it is not like that just into the four walls of class it will be there. The education when democratical, it has been a vast, where you are sharing out the words and you are speaking out that the different part of it, and through that part of it you are getting an encouragement. So here a different zone only which has been covered up with the help of education administrators. Now it must be development and the cultural appropriate, and it must be a participator. It is like here through this part of democratical education you are developing also, you are getting culturally also, culturally and development both you are getting out, but here you are getting one point that is called a participatory, where you are coming out with an idea. It helps the child develops a love for learning and critical thinking. So here the child is not getting bored. Here he is thinking about it like the education is not only for the four walls, but here he is being coming out with ideas, he is sharing out that ideas with the people. So this is a different zone. It must be equitable, so that all all have access to it. So here it is an equitable, where he comes and he shares with different type of people. So that part of it attachment it has been there. Education is in democratical when it is inclusive, because it is an acceptable to the wide variety of the people. So here when I'm using the word education is democratic, why it has been said, because it is an inclusive where the thing is what the education it has been vast, because here it is given a freedoms to learn whatever you want to learn. You want to be a participator, you can be a participator and come, you can share out the different type of words also. Now next point, it's a democratical because it recognizes students are not passive being but have to engage a critical thinkers. Here the human being is not a passive being. He's just not a human being like a passive, just only having a view. Here into the democratical way, where he's putting out the through the critical zone also he is giving out the suggestion. So this is different part of way of education, way of system. It's a democratical because parent needs to be treated as active participators in the education process and not merely a consumer of it. So here already we have been learned the meaning when we have been started a chapter what is an education. Here it is like education, you are not getting out because you want to live your life, that is why you're learning. It is not like that. It is like you want to make yourself develop, that is why you do. So here it is what, here the second version what we have been said about it, it is this part of it. You want to develop, you want to be into certain kind of priorities, that is why this part of it, way of critical thinking process, that comes into the democratical way of education. It is a democratical because it has a sense of public accountability and commitments to address the broad public and social goals. So here why it has been said about the word democratical, why is the use, because it is a sense of public accountable where you're coming out with the view of the public, and you are sharing your goals, you're sharing your views, and even you're thinking about the future. Democratical education is where people listens to one another and where children are the sources of the learning for the teachers. So your democratical, it is that part of it through education, your whatever you're learning you're getting out, but through that part of only you're learning more and more a different. So according to this part of it, you're getting your other knowledge also relating to your syllabus. There is a way to help the children learning and at the same time listens to them, and even whatever we have been discussed by the teachers. So ultimately now it's the time for the children to come out with it, what it has been taught. So like they'll be also sharing their own views. Teachers do not feel demands, and they construct with the children and respect them, which is the something important to learn. So here a teacher doesn't say about it that no, whatever you have been said it is wrong. No, it is what you come out with an idea, you come out with a view. So at least what we will be sharing through that part of it. The most important thing it is what to learn, to know about that thing. It is not like that what I have been taught it is your. You can also share with me an idea. So here through this part of it, the thing is what you are getting out into your mind, and so that is part. So education is not like you are consuming, how you are consuming a food. It is like the thing is what you want to develop yourself, you want to develop your learning sources, you want to come out with the new ideas. That is why we do with the help of this part of it, that is called an education, democratical way of education. Okay, so this was a different part of it through which we have been learned with the help of two chapters. So, sorry, not with the help of two chapters. We have been learned with the today we have been seen about the types of it. First, we went with the totaling, and second with the help of democratics. So these two different types of education system administrations was been developed, and through that part of it, education administrations, what it has been developed into the new different type of zone. Now we'll just go with the help of next chapter. The next chapter which says about it. Just a minute. I just started out the chapter. We'll be seeing out the planning, education planning, what is planning, because through this, I have took these two chapters because the thing is through this part, types only we will be, as we are learning a type, so we will be also getting a planning also, that how the planning it has been done. I'll just change the slide here. Now, here we'll be seeing about the education planning. Now, already we have been seen about the types of educations, administrators, how it has been there. There are two different types of it, and through that two different types of it, finally the thing is what we are getting a different types of view relating to the educations and administration, and how it is given a major impact relating to that particular way. Now, we'll be seeing out the next chapter, that is called the education planning. Now, here you'll be seeing about it, what is education, what is planning. Now, previously into last so many lectures, we have learned about too much different type of chapters. So many different types of chapters. We have been learned what is the meaning of education, administrative management. Okay, the first chapter what we have been learning. We have been learned about it, how UGC and NAC and all different type of authorities, how they are coming out with the help of an ideas, and through that part of it, we are mapping out the situations, and then afterwards we are developing an institution. Then afterwards we have been learned about total quality management, Six Sigma, how different part of this, how it has been graded through how ISOI, the marking it has been given, the graded it has been given, and through that part of grading system only total quality management it has been checked about it went into the management, because where each and every functions, each and every preparations, each and every skills it has been developed, we have been learned. Next, we have been learned about how leadership skills are also being developed, and through that different part of leadership skills, through morals, through different type of qualities, how it has been set up, and through that part of different part of setting up, we are getting off a new way of ideas, a new way of changes. We have even learned about it, the different way of planning, organizing, directing, controlling, and staffing, how it has been coming out, because as we are learning the word education management system, so the management and administration works with the help of this different type of skills, that is called planning, organizing, directing, controlling, and staffing. Because through this part of it, you can come out with the different part of ideas. We have been learned so many different type of points relating to the education. We have been even got to know about the constitutions, how the rights it has been came about it, how first we have been learned about how constitution was built on 1930, and through that it was already built. But through that part of it, finally, once we got an independence, and then afterwards, through certain period of time, once the Republic Day was celebrated, so on that time, the thing is the constitution was built, and then according to that part of it, certain right was also been developed. So through that part of rights, as if it has been developed, so we are getting a different type of zone through education system. And on that time, government has planned, government started setting different type of rules, different types of rules relating to the educations, where the people who are from Anglo-Indians, the people who are from different states, different countries, each and every people, if they wants to come and they wants to get in educations through this current way of whatever the country, if he wants to get, so that part of it, new government has been set up. Even what are the different dimension also through this part of it, the girls and boys has given different part of it, culturalism, race, caste, each and everything was seen. Means you can say about it, we have been learned vast and vast into the education administration, how the different views, different perspectives, where not even given a priorities to only teaching and learning, but here it is even given a priorities to setting out the certain way of pinnacles to with the help of strategies, and through which the operations, because through this two words, strategies and operations, through this different part of techniques, we are getting out the new way of ideas, new way of dimensions through that particular way, where you can set up it out with the help of different types of goals. And finally, the thing is what, at whatever the age it will be there, you can come and you can study also. So you can see about it, see different zone is also being set up. So that different type of zone, as it has been set up, so we are getting out the new way of an ideas of development. So that is, we have been learned into the constitutions also, how different part of constitution, through different part of constitution, we have a leaders who has given a major impacts to the study level, that study and all. And now we have even learned about the types also, the two different types, that is democratical and totalism, where first you have been seen about the economical, social, political way of cultural way, through where the education was built. Then after democratical way also we have been learn about it, where it's given a freedom. You are not learning, you are getting an education not for consuming, but the thing is what you want to change your life, and the major impact it is what first it is what a learning. Here it is education is not getting out the least of degree, but the degree it is because degree, how degree is important, but the more major impact it is what the learning process. Because if you are having a learning, so here the human behavior, the human wants, the human way of thoughts will be also being changing. So that all comes part into the different part of it. Now as we have been learn about this part of it, you can see about that different zone whatever we have been learned. So through we require a certain new changes, because at each and every term we require a changes. So how the changes can be done? Through developing a strategies. So how the strategies are coming out? The strategies are coming by the word of planning, because this all system we have been done. But what are the new techniques? What are the new different type of zone view where you can come out with an ideas, you can come with the different views. So this is called a planning, and through that part, a particular way of planning, we are coming out with the help of new type of setup. So into this chapter, first you'll be learning about what is education, what is the planning, and how the words that is being said about education planning. Because planning should be done when into the education, because you can see about it, each and every particular period of time, you are seeing a changes, you are seeing a movements, you are seeing a different type of perspectives, different type of children, different type of teaching process. And through this different type of teaching process, we require changes. And we are into the globalization period. Already we have been seeing about it. We are into the liberalization, privatization and globalization period, where you can see where we want a changes. So how you do the changes? First you do the planning. Because in education or any kind of it, you require a planning. Planning make an important sources. Whether you make a short-term plan, whether you make a long-term plan, and through that part of particular way of planning, the thing is what you are achieving a goal. The word planning says about the word. What is meant by planning? A planning says about what to do, when to do, how to do, whom to be done, who will be done, how it will be done. This is the question it has been arising. And through this particular way of different type of questions, the thing is what different type of zones have been developed. So through the question as it is being developed, you are setting out with the help of new different type of challenges, new different type of plannings, new different type of the sources, because these are the different part of it things. And through that particular way of things, the thing is what new ideas are being setting up. So these are the different. So your planning makes an important concept. Here the thing is what you are want to set up a certain kind of goal into the learning and teaching process. That is why this education planning system which has been developed. So into this type of chapters, for the things you will be learning, strategies and operations. What are the strategies? What are the operations? What are the planning? What are the different types of planning you setups? And through that part of it, you start doing a development and all. Okay, we'll just move it out into the chapter. What is education planning? Planning, first it is planning is a formal process of making decision for the future of individual and organization. Now planning, what it is, it's a process of making decision. Here it is what planning, it is what it's the process of making decisions to get an accurate information, to get a proper way of decision, so that according to that part of a decision, finally you can develop the future events for an individual and even for the organization. For an individual and for the organization development, you need to do the planning, because without planning, the thing is what you cannot set up an idea. You want, if you are planning for a picnic also, whether it is the 2 months after, but still till the time if you don't do the planning, and individual people won't be able to recognize what is the place, what is the time, how we'll be traveling, you won't be able to get that part of answer, or you won't be getting that part of questions related. So there are the certain questions which are there into the brain. So that is why this type of process of planning we set up. Plan are the statements of things to be done and sequence and timing in which they should be done in order to achieve a given end. So like to given an end means after 2 months you are going for certain kind of picnic. So through previously the planning, whatever you do, it's a one type of things to be done. What are the things to be done? The timing, process, and according to that part of it, you can make it out the sequences. that as after 2 months you're going for somewhere, so these are my things, these are my things, these are my things, these are my things. Then afterwards you think about it, if there is anything else what I have been forgot. So I need to wait for certain times, I need to just memorize all the concepts, memorize the things and all, and according to if there is certain kind of this thing, so I can do this thing. If there is certain kind of, so you plan according to that, because as if you go in the end, after 2 months you go somewhere, so at least you will be getting an idea and you are thinking about it, yes, this was the things about it, and finally I got each and every word through which organizations can be, and through which part of it where I can now make for to go anywhere. Planning implies thinking about the futures and trying to assume control over the future events by the organization and managing the resources so that the catered of successful objectives set forth. So according to that part of it, what are the objectives are being built, so that objectives can be set forth, because according to that part of it you can set certain kind of goals, certain kind of achievements to this part of it, where you can make a different type of changes, different type of developments to that particular way of things. So here the planning implied things about the future. So here it is what planning, it is what where you can say about the future events, future concepts, future developments are being set up, and through that part of it finally you can make a new set of successful, where the thing is what you can make for the different type of changes. So this is one type of planning statement. So planning is that part of it. Here the question is been arise, what to do, when to do, how to do, whom to be done, why is to be done, and through that particular way finally the thing is what you are planning out the futures, and to that particular way of futures you are setting out certain kind of goal, where through the long way of process, through the different way of process, this part of system will be also being developed, and through that particular way of development you can achieve a certain type of new dimension also. Now, education planning is an application of rational, systematic analyzation to the process of education development with the aim of making education more effective, efficient and responsive to the needs and goals for the students and society. Why this education planning it has been done? Education planning is done because it's a one type of systematical and rationaling the process of education development. Okay, it's a one type of systematic and a positive way of development to the certain part of it process, and make an education a different type of zone and different types of an achievements to which where you're showing effective and efficiency to your teaching and even for the learning process. So that is why where the thing is what you can make a goal, and through that particular way of goal you can plan your education that way. What are the features? What are the things you need to check it out, like when you are doing an education planning? The objectives of an education planning is to get the most and best education results and the maximum education contributions to each individual and the whole society. So the major impact when I'm doing a planning, my main first objective, what are my main thought about this? First, to get a proper way of planning. Second, each and whatever the learning process it has been there, so where people should have, and individual and even society should involve into that part of it, who should contribute into the educations and then afterwards gain a learning. Planning is a continuous process. It's a one type of continuous process. Education planning deals with the future, drawing enlightenment from the past. So here it's a one type of education planning. It is but a continuous process. Obviously, planning is not like that you just stop. You have whatever you've been thought about it. Finally, okay, fine, it has been done. Because at the end, if there's any kind of changes, so you should have that part of it. So it's a one type of continuous process. Education planning deals with the future, drawing enlightenment for the past. So here, whatever you are here, you're making your future. As you're seeing your past, you're making your future. So this is one type of education planning. The important function of education planning is to link a society, education systems to the goal, whatever these goals may be. So like here, why we do the planning? Because through goal, whatever the future might be. So according to that part of future, so the current scenario and the future scenario should mix together. So at least what you can stand with the certain new creations over there. And education planning cannot make it vacuum. It has an integrated relates to the social education cultural background. So here when education planning you're developing, it's all interrelated, means it's all development with the social, educations and cultural, and through this different part of it, it's a mixture of all part of it. Through that part of mixture, finally you're doing a planning process. A education planner must plan first assert the goal of national development. The thing is why we do this part of planning, because to develop a nation. So that is why this will be having the major impact. The investments in education should be properly planned so as to get the maximum return, as you should plan that way, so at least you will be getting a maximum return. Social return also, it's a part of a community resources. So here when I'm using the word resources, so it's a part of a resources where social, economical, political, each and every people are having contribution, but here the contribution, it has been there for the social and even for the community wide, where each and every people are involving, and through that part of it you're developing a new different type of zone, so that which will be treated a positive way of aspiration. Now two aspects, here you have a two aspects of planning. The main major thing, planning of an education is to underdevelop economic has negative as well as a positive. Now through planning, whenever it has been done, and through economical things, as if you're thinking about it, it can be a positive, it can be a negative, because through the underdevelop, as if it is into the underdevelopment process. One, the negative side is implied a reasonable restraint on investment, the type of an education, the capital formed wherefrom has only a low margin efficiency to the individual and society, which plays only a minor role in increasing the national output. So here the financially way how, because as the capital has been involved, so you can, because once you are doing a planning, so it can be either go into the positive, it can be go either into negative. But when I'm using the word negative side, why the negative? Because the thing is the financial position is not that strong. So that is why the thing is the education system, the different type of planning sources, it takes a time to grow. But when it is been saying with a positive way, so you're financially also been strong, you're having long-term process, you have a different type of changes. See what I'm saying about it. On the positive side, planning of an education implies a scientific projection of a long-term requirement for the quantums and quality of skills. Here already I've been said, it's a long-term. Second part, you have a different type of skills, different type of knowledge and kind of people who can come out with an ideas. So here you can get a different type of changes. And that content, the drawing up of an education planning and its execution. So here, through this particular way, they knows about it, how to portray an education planning. Education planning has proceed along with the manpower planning, and both this should form an integrated part of overall economical planning. So here's one type of manpower planning. So here, each and every people are involved, they come out with an ideas, and through that particular way of ideas, they can come out with the new different type of job, because your financially it has been strong, you have a long-term process, the positivity it has been shared about it through that particular way of learning, so you can get a new way of development, and so through that part of it, you can plan your education that way. Now, Indian educations, here what are the planning, what are the plans that has been done into Indian education, because this was the past time how the government has been set up with the planning of an education. Education in India is a primary state sponsored activities. Now, as the thing is already have been said, we have been learned constitution also. So into that we have been learned rights, the right of an education. So that is also given a primary role, a major priorities. Therefore, the patent of education development depends to the greater extent on availability of government resources for an education. So, government is providing different part of resources to set up the education way of system also. There are multiple sources of finance for an education in India. These sources can be broadly classified into external, internal, domestic, or domestic sources of financing. Here, the people are ready to invest major to the education part, because through this at least they are getting away, because they know the people will be getting educated, the people will be learning, and through that part of it they will be also set upping. So here you are having different type of sources. External sources do not form a significant part of education finance in India. The domestic source of funds are broadly divided into public and private sources. So you can say about it, the external sources here, it is not given a major priority, but through way of domestical zone, through way of the same nation zone only, the people are being there, so the people are ready to invest the finance, and through that part of finance, they have been set up with the help of public sources and private sources. So they started developing the schools, institutions, university, autonomous one, where they have been having the private and public zone way of sources through which the thing is they share the education. The public sources include contributions made by the central, state and local government, already the head of the departments you can say about it, these are the people who have been involved. Private or non-government sources includes the fees and other householding expenses incurred by the direct beneficial, that is students or parents of an education's endowment, and donations made by individual trusts, etc. Among the private sources, fees are compulsory payment, whereas other than voluntary contribution. So here, relating to fees also, the structures are different through public and private, because when related to the public one, the central state government who give certain kind of facilities to that part of it, and finally the thing is education, it has been provided. But when related to the private sectors, related to one type of non-governmental sources. Through this non-governmental sources, the fees and all are being taken, but into the different type of way of contribution, how they have been given, the way of the least. So you are having this sort of education planning system, what it has been done into the India, where external sources is given in priorities and domestic also, but the thing is what external not that much involved, but the thing is we have a domestic one where they are giving a priorities, and through this part of domestic one they have the public and private different type of sectors, and through that would, but different type of sectors they are contributing to the different type of zone. There are the three layers of control of an education in India. You have a three level, because the three level who controls the education, you have a central, states and district level. Among this, districts are not constitutional saturated unit, though they are the important of administrative unit. District, it is what they are one type of administrative level where they give out the different type of managemental sources, and they just contribute relating to the managemental skills and managerial thoughts. Therefore, resource allocations mechanism are based on central-state partnership in education and way. Now, when related to the resources, how it has been allocated, how to make a maps, how to make a schools, how to make the college, how to make the institution, preschoolings and all, this all given by the central and state partners. They contribute and finally they give the new way of demographical way of zone relating to that particular way of requirement. Education in India is financed by both central and state government. The government is this three level provides the funds for their own institutions, and that institution set up by the private individual societies to whom grants are made to the based on grants and aid policies of government. Now, through the institutions where central and state government who financed, who give the different type of resources, who give the proper way of different type of zone related resources. So ultimately they give the grant, they give the permissions to that particular way of requirement, and they see about it, and according to that part of seeing about it, they give a chance. The state government differs in the term of system of grant, and they differ from the level of education. So here, when state government, it is like differed, they are been different, but related to the level of an education will be also be different, because through that part of only the new kind of dimensions and new kind of changes it is being seen. General private institutions which comes under the purview of a grant in aid code are given recurring and non-recurring grants. The recurring grants include salary grants, hostel grants and maintenance grants. These are the recurring and non-recurring one, where you will be getting a recurring, and second the thing is you will be getting non-refundable. So that all charges and according to that part of permission, because when state government and central government when they are planning, so ultimately whatever the grants they does about it, and through that part of it the finance it has been taken from the children, so from the parent. So according to that part of it, they are seeing that part requirement. The grant and the aid policy also helps to keep the check on and ensure certain level of standard in the term of teaching qualification, fees, maintenance of an account, etc. So through this part of it, they even plan the education system related to how teacher will be qualified, what will be the fees, what will be the maintenance of an account, how they will be maintaining the account. Moreover, all the institutions receiving grant in aid are subject to governmental inspection and supervision. Already this also we have been the role and the functions of education administrator, means how they do the supervisions. They through the governmental zone only, whenever the people through this kind of grant from central state government people, whenever they come, so ultimately whoever will be private or a public zone related, who should supervise and inspect all the part of it, through that part of it, inspections and supervision to the governmental sectors. So that which is given a major priorities to an education form. The Constitution of India has categorized the governmental functions into three. It has been categorized, means three different zones they have been categorized. List of union or central governmental functions. They have a list of union, and then afterwards the governmental functions. List of state governmental and functions. List of concurrent functions. In 1976, through the Constitution Amendment, education was shifted from the state lease to the concurrent lease. This legacy the importance and dominance of its central government in an education development. So here it is what first, once the thing is we got a republic, the constitution was built. So as the constitution was built, then afterwards in 1976 again the new amendment was given by the constitution, where different lease, through the different type of lease, the thing is what this education system was given, and even according to that part of different planning performance it was also been developed, because through that part of forming a planning only you can set up with the help of new kind of ideas which can plan according to the requirement. The following sectors were listed into the function of central government. Now this through as the government sectors through 1976, as there was amendment, so into that part of changes the different list was also been developed by the central government. First it is what a union level of university, central university, union agency and institution for the professional and technical education. This was also been set up. Union agency for coordinations and determinations of standard institution for the higher education, and many other institutions declared by the parliaments to the institution of the national importance. Now here through that part of planning sectors you can see about it, different type of zone, different part of requirements, different type of zone was developed through the parliament, and as in 1976 there are different type of amendment as it has been came. So through that part of it amendment, the parliament set up with the help of new different type of ideas, and through that part of it the central government was given priorities to look after this all type of process. This provided constitution resulted in establishing such institution. Now through that, after 1976, certain institutions, central government institution was also developed. Previously, to set up any kind of schools institution, the central government was used to give the permission. Now through this part of permission, the central government has a huge and different kind of task also. He has different type of work also. So that is why central government thought about it. Now as into the parliament in 1976, as it was an amendment, so then after the central government thought about it to develop the certain different type of an institution, and through that type of institution who will be looking after to schools, college institutions, autonomous universities. So according to that part of it only, they'll be seeing about it, and they'll be giving a plannings to set up out, because this all people will be having different type of ideas, different type of perspectives, different type of views relating to that, and so they can come out with the idea. So that is why a constitution resulted in establishing some certain institutions. The constitution build out certain institutions. That is, first is CBSE, that is Central Board of Secondary Education. You can see UGC, the University Grant Commission, deemed university, the National Council of Education Research and Training, that is NCRT, the National University of Education Planning Administration, that is NUEPA. Okay, you can see about it, this different type of institution was started, and through that part of an institution, finally the thing is what the constitution thought about it, that to this all institution will give the guidelines to those schools, college institutions, and from this part of it they'll be changing out the different part of those. So this is what a planning for the future, and nowadays you can see about it into current 21st century, you can see about it, there's a new different changes of certain kind of schools, certain kind of institutions, because through that part of it, as the government has been built with the help of the central government has built a certain kind of institution, and through that part part of institution, finally the thing is what the new planning, administrative process, the management system has been also been developed properly. Vocational and teaching training of labor was listed in the concurrent functions. Now your technical way and vocational way of training was also given by those people, and which was given a concurrent functions since this was a major priorities. The other areas and sectors of an education was under least two. Now this was into the least one. When they thought about it, they thought about first to set up this type of planning sources. As they finally planned for this thing, finally the thing is what, and rest all the concept was there into the part 2. The central government in education is mainly in the three different way. Okay, so first the central government has its own central sectors for education, which includes, besides the sectors listed in the union list, already we have been learned about it, the different type of UGC, NCERT, whatever we have been learned about different institutes. One type of union way where they come up with the help of an ideas, they can show, they can do the planning according to that. The central schools, the regional colleges of education, national scholarships and programs of UGC, such as creation of the Center for the Advanced Study. Now through this part of it, the UGC who gives the who is the Grand Commissions, who give the who gives the certain kind of it as a marks to the certain particular way of schools and or an institution. So he has even planned about it that what will be the guideline, because according to this guidelines only the thing is what the scholarship, national scholarships, the education, the college research, it has been properly been set up. Administrative as well as the financial functions of the sectors are totally responsible for the central government. Now through this part of it, financially, what will be the fees, what will be the standard, what are the responsibilities, each and everything. Total responsibility of administrative will be total depend on this type of union territory. These activities are planned, implied and financed exclusive by the center. Now here the thing is what, through this all the things will be given by the central government, because through this part of only they are coming out with the help of new ideas and they are planning the institutions that way. Secondly, there are the sectors known as centrally sponsored sectors, the responsibility of which the state do not accept its own. The central government could, however, pursue the state government to accept the responsibility for the implementation. Now here the thing is, the central government don't do each and everything. He gives this responsibilities to the state government, and through that part of it, passing out through this part of to the state government who convey the messages to certain schools and certain institutions, and through that part of it, they started developing the administrative way of planning. They constitute the part of central planning in the respect of which the states act as the executive agency. Now the state will be performing as an executive agency, means through central, the thing is it comes to the state, so he will be performing himself like an executive agency. They are designed and developed by the central. So ultimately, total development will be done by the central government. But the thing is what, he will be performing, the state will be performing himself as an executive. The activities in these sectors includes promotion of Sanskrit, Hindi in non-Hindi speaking states, promotions of students, tour, etc. Now through this part of it, as we are doing this part, that part of planning, so the sectors will be also doing a promotions through this particular way into Hindi or Sanskrit way of languages, as if they are using our non-Hindi way of areas where they can come out with the help of new different type of languages, and they can share out their views. The central government take care of the financial part of this activities. Now through this, as if the central government pay for this, and then afterwards they encourage the peoples to come out with the help of an ideas, and they go out with the peoples and share according to that way. So that part of it, even benefit is also being given by the central one. Finally, there is a central assistance sectors, which includes activity in promotion of in which the centers is actively interested, through which them bought the state plan. The states only partially accepted the financial responsibility of a sector. So ultimately, through this part of it, the central, it's a partial way of acceptances by the sectors. The state will be a partial one, means you can say about it the whole nations, and through that part of the central one, it's only given an opportunities to grow. But finally, at certain period of time, the thing is what, a partial way of also changes will be also been there from the state, and through that both part of contribution, finally the performance it has been done. The opening of non-formal education centers, enrollment of handicapped students in integrated school, etc. are some of the activities. Now, during this part of it, the benefits is also given for the education centers where this type of scenario it has been there, where handicapped students are being there, certain integrated schools are being there developed. So that part of certain benefits which will be also given by the center, which has been responded to the state, and through that part of it the state is performing is an idea. The financial contribution of the centers to such activities might vary between 25% to 100% of the total cost of this activity. Now, so this part of it, they are planning to give more than 25 to 100% related to that part of it. So, at least what, where new type of settings, new type of zones can be also be developed. Now, 12th, 25th year plan and education. Now, here you can say about it as the contribution it has been done by the constitutions in each and every time. So, on that time, the planning was also being, again, the different type of planning. The people were sitting, the committee was sitting, and according to that part of committee, the thing is what they have planned the education, learning outcomes, and continuous comprehensive evaluations. Okay, so your learning outcomes should be also there much, and continuous comprehensive evaluation should be also been done, ensuring residence access and equity religion, religional, socials and genders. So this part of it also been seen about it. Ensure this thing should be there. Pre-primary education for school preparedness. Okay, pre-primary schools related certain benefits which will be also given for the school related. Teacher educations on the mission mode. Okay, they have been thought about it like as the teacher is going for any kind of teaching, so the teacher should be that much qualified, because that mission will be there, because as he will be having more qualification, so he can present himself in the front of the students. So this was the planning of it. School leadership development, obviously this is been already been there nowadays. Leadership quality should also been there. You should be a part of like it has been said that each and every people should be a leader. He should develop himself as a leader. It is like not the thing is what you need to consume that thing. You need to imagine that thing. You need to think about that thing. Finally, to that part of it, leadership quality it has been developed. Integration of sports and physical education. Obviously, this is given a major priorities into this part of planning. That student should not only good into teaching, not in good into the learning, but even to this part of sports and physical education activities also he should be developing himself. So this was set in the 25th way of planning into the education system. Now, monitorable targets. Achieving means year of schooling of 7 by 2016-17, eliminating social and gender gaps in enrollment in 16 and 17. This was a target where they was thinking about it, and they were having the proper way of thinking about this part of proper way of enrollment, and how different type of zone related they are having major focus. Other targets, what are the things? Increasing secondary education more than 90%, increasing senior secondary education 65%, reduced secondary drop out rate less than 25%, reduced gender gap in literacy to 10% point. So this was the thing where they have been given a major target, because through this part of it only education plannings can be also set up. So that is why they have been given the major impact relating to this. Now, when 12th plan focused, secondary education was major focus with relevant skills including basic competence in mathematics, science, languages and communications. Now here, through as the changes was there, so ultimately they have been thought about it that through this part of planning zone, they've been having major focus on mathematics, science, languages and communication. They'll be having the major way of interest, and they'll be planning to set up the quality related to this particular way of secondary way of zone, secondary way of standard where they'll be coming out. So this particular way of different type of fields should be clear and properly. implement the common curriculums and syllabus of the nation acceptance standard for science, maths, English in all the schools and countries. Usually they'll be keeping this normal for each and every science, mathematics and English. This they will be keeping a normal because each and every, because this three different type of languages where they can keep a common, so at least what it will be for the people can be easily can be communicated. Develops life skills including skills of critical and constructive thinking, use of ICT, organization, leadership and community services. This has been also been seen. Organization, leadership, quality. This has been also been set up. Extend RMSA gradually to the higher secondary stage and cover all the government and aided schools. Usually through this part of it, because why they are planning this part of school, because they will be getting the children will be getting different type of benefit. Set a national norms of secondary schooling for universal of secondary education. They will be planning the secondary educations to be developed properly. Setting up of 6,000 high quality model schools of block level 3,500 schools in partnership with the state of 2,500 model schools into the public private sectors, public private partnerships mode. So like you can say a total they thought about it to develop 6,000 schooling, and through that part they have been divided like to 3,500 into the partnership one, and the other by through state approvals by 2,500 will be to this school. Upgradation of the 11,200 upper primary schools to the secondary school of meet increasing the demand. Direct benefit transfer for scholarship incentives linked with the Aadhaar. Increasing the intake of 44,000 extend government to secondary schools, residential schools, hostels, facilities by boys and girls. Okay, now you can see about it, this different type of zone it has been set up, and then afterwards facilities was also given to this particular way of children, so at least they can have the major interest into the studies, and this was the planning of an education system, and through this part of it they can construct a different type of new zone. Strength of infrastructure facilities, obviously through this start of planning they started developing the infrastructure facilities by the school, where lab facilities, library, ICT in schools, 80,500 acres of land they have been set up, and finally through that part of means they just given an accurate, and through that part of an accuracy they thought about it to develop this part of setup. Ensuring 100% trained teachers in all the schools, obviously this will be there. Okay, through this part of planning sectors, the thing is what it was developed. Now, future of an education. Now, as we went through this part of it, what are the future of an education? As you learn about it, what are the major impacts? Distance education trend, it has been also started, where through distance way of education, at least what you can learn, you can get out an idea. Education and use of the social media, through social media, at least you can get out an idea. Post-secondary curriculum, globalization, positive, negative, classroom in the future. These are the different part of it which are being there in the future relating to the education, because this was given in priorities, and through that part of priorities you can get out the different type of zone, different types of view relating to particular way. Social media plays an important role into the future education, obviously, because through future education nowadays you can see about it, the phones, usually you can see about it through Facebook, through Twitter, through Instagram, those posts are being given, and through that part of it the education has been gaining more and more. Along with the advanced technology, education restriction by the time locations were longer existence, major, which is given them major existence into the advanced technology it has been developed. Distance learning and asynchronous learning will become more popular. Now usually this part of distance learning and certain way of technical way through you can get out the education, this has been also been flourished right now. Okay, and through that part of development. What are the distance learning trend? More course degree universities are available for the distance education nowadays. This part of also zone it is, if there is a gap, or if you are financially, if you are not strong, so you can go out with the distant part of education. If there is a gap relating to education, you can go about it, you can complete with your qualification. This has been also been set up. The distinct between distance and the local education disappear. Now the thing is what, from whichever the university you like to do it, you want to do it, you can do it, because here the distance gap it is being also solved. The percentage of an adult female and minority learning is increasing now. What you can say about it through this part of it, adult Females, minorities learning has been also been increasing through this part of it as the distance learning trend it has been given. Social media education now is will change teaching and learning style, that is teaching students how to learn an information economic, okay, providing students with accessing professional networks, modeling lifelong learning practices. Now education cost will be obviously drop down now here through this part of it. Now through social media, as it is given in education, so ultimately financially whatever the fees are been there, it has been dropped right now because this are the planning what was there. So this was already, this all planning was in, so finally you can see about it, this all type of planning it has been currently pursuing. Now through social constructive learning, you are having the printed material, already the print materials have been printed. Electronic material, already materials are in electronic way. Already people are there, the teachers have been coming out, they can have the interactions through that part of it. Product, whatever the products would be there, the presentation, the ideas, the thoughts and all, each and everything was given. So this part of it learning system through the social media has been developed vast and vast. So these are the future way of trend were thought about it by the government. Curriculums, the education curriculum change passes as year as by. Students will be able to think, use knowledge for the problem solving, attending the level of wisdom approaches. Now, as how the students are gapping up in ideas, how they want, how they thought about it, so that particular way of changes, the students are moving on. Future of in curriculum, virtual classes will allow the students to assess the class. Students will be communicated community for the smaller number. There will be support more adult and student connected. Students will be engaged in learning groups, learnings that match the group will be helpful in the technology. So like through curriculums where they can develop, they can set up with the new ideas, they can meet as a team group, they can develop himself as a teamwork way of an activity where the students will be getting an interaction, and through that part of interaction the changes will be done through an environment. So that part of curriculum way of teaching has also been developed. Now you can say we are into globalization period. So as if through the globalization period, this part of changes, it has been already been done. Global markets and the skill increases the demand of an education. Nowadays, through globalization period, now you can say the skill, we require skills, we require the knowledge. Nowadays in the market it has more and major demand. Multicultural education in the global environment. Nowadays you require a multicultural way of education, a different way of knowledge, different way of thought. Study abroad booming, that is 60% of increasing students outside their native countries since the year 2000. They have been started. The number of US students going abroad increased by 150%. They have been started. More university attendant students abroad program. Now there are more major. Now you can see about it that as the planning, education planning was differently set up. So according to that part of setup, finally the thing is what this, according to globalization, it has been developed more and more. So now you can say a major priorities to the education was also given by when they have been planned with the help by the constitution. Recent studies shows 107 developing countries. The study found that from 80 to 90 as fall was demo in the product, that is $2.8 billion leave less 2% $2 a day. South Asia has the highest number of poor people, 552 millions of South Asians live less $1 a day. So now you can see the differences, how the differences has been done, because how the education has been done, the planning system has been developed. So you can see about it how the changes. The depth has increases to reaches the better share of 87% in least developed country. Now here you can say about it, the depth has also been decreased into certain developed country because of the planning of an education system, because that part of it has been changed the new dimension of the peoples, and through that part of dimension it can be grown into the formal way of changes. learn about different type of systems which was related with the education planning through the different type of process, and through that different type of process we gotten to know the different kind of ideas about it, that how to set up and how to plan about the education sources. Now you'll be learning about the types of education planning. Already we have been seen about different type of way of education systems related, and how the planning has been conducted, and how the local bodies and governmental bodies has been adopted to that particular way of system, and then afterwards the thing is what the sources was developed. And we have been already seen about it, how different type of zone related has given a major impact and major activity, how it has been performed. Now the thing is, we will be seeing about the types of education planning. We have a two different types through where the education planning system it has been developed, that is called the strategies and operational way of planning. The strategy planning, it has been said about it, it's a one type of long time of process. Strategy means showing out different type of an activities, and through that different part of an activities, setting up with the help of new different type of goals and planning about it. Strategy, it is what a certain kind of changes. What do you mean by strategy? Strategy is what certain kind of changes, and through that different type of changes, the thing is what the planning system it has been done. So here you are developing a strategies which is for more than 10 to more than the 10 to 20 years related, which will be a larger way where you are planning out the strategies into the educations, where you are showing out the importance related to different type of an objectives you are building about it, and through that part of your objectives, the thing is what the planning sequence it has been performed. And here the thing is the implementation, as you start doing a planning related, so the implementation is also been done according to the requirements, which will be properly it will be set up. So that is why we perform the strategical way of planning. Into strategy way of planning, whenever you do it about it, so you have a different first into the strategy way of planning. First, it is a different strategy way. You are developing a strategy which is for more than 10 to 20 years, and through that part of it you are making a planning process. When we are telling about short term planning, the short term will be for the 3 to 5 years where you are planning and education through that way. You have a managemental planning, and each and every zone you have a different type of planning areas, and through that part of planning areas you are developing of education systems, and to develop the university according to way where the thing is what you can have a major impact relating to the study related to how you can plan, and how you can make a way of different type of changes. You have a institutional planning, and through institution way of planning, so you can say how the resources are being given, and with the help of the resources on the different type of way of the changes which has been done into different part of an activity. So that part of it, institution way of it, where how resources and the best plans can be given, and major impact related to this. So in each and every whatever we have been learned different type of it through in strategies, we have been learned sub points, and so that sub points related to short terms, long term way of planning, area planning, then after institution planning, managemental planning, different types of plannings related, you will be developing an education way of systems, and through that part of planning system, through way of that part of planning zone only, the thing is what the new type of changes, the new type of developments it has been done, and so that is why that has given a major importance. Even into this part of it, the purpose it's also been seen about it, how the general people who contributes themselves into the planning related, and how the implementation it has been done into the planning. The planning, it is not only to get those questions answer, but even to do the implementation. So that part of it, so how you do the implementation? By developing a certain kind of strategies, whatever you are thinking about it, that part of strategies, and then afterwards you need to formulate that part of planning way of scenarios. And to that part of planning way of scenarios, finally you can contribute to the government or a local body. Already we have been seen about the three different way, that is central, state and the district. These are the three different ways zone, but where the central government body who has been who are been capturing, who has been thinking a thing about that thing, who are having into their hands that part of point of it. So that thing, it has been already being seen, but even with the help of central central, district, and even with the help of state government. So ultimately the central government gives to the state government, and finally through this part of already we have been seen about the UGC, we have been seen NETs, you have been seen about NAC, you have been seen about the NCRTs, this different type of institution, union body, where through this part of union body the new type of changes, new type of requirement, it has been already been seen to that part of it. So that part of formulation implementation is also been done about it, and plannings to improve more and more, because this different type of planning related only the new type of changes will be also been done, because through that part of only changes, the thing is what new types of development will be also been seen through that part of it planning. Now, when we are seeing about even we'll be seeing about the two different dimensions of operational level, where the types of an education planning will be of two. First, we have been seen as the strategy way of planning, and second, we have been seen about the operational way. Where the certain you are seeing the administrative body who are being planning the education zone, who are planning with the help of systems, and through that particular way of system only the thing is what each and every people contributions are been also be done. So this, through this all people part of contributions they are doing and implement also into the education system. Now there are two authorities and control, two things where it has been coming out, authorities and control. So here you can say centralization and decentralization process has also been coming about it. So this two different type of zone which has been also been developed into the planning, because planning develops a centralization and even with the help of decentralization process also. But when I'm telling with the help of the centralization, these are the two administrative process. Through this administrative process, the centralization where it comes to the control relating to the certain part of activities, and through that part of controlling activities, it has been performed with the help of two different directions. So that part of the directions which are being properly being seen into when you're performing this part of planning related. So planning through these two activities, you can do the education, you can plan. Second, you have a decentralization planning. Decentralization planning, that where the authorities, from the authorities, the thing is what the process which has been conducted. So already we have been seen central and the state body, and through that part of body you are getting a centralization and decentralization way of authorities, way of responsibilities, and through that part of it you are making out the changes into different part of education system and education way of planning. So these are the given a major impact relating to the education way of plannings to develop for the long term and the short term way of process. And through way of long term and the short term way of process, it where if effectiveness, efficiency, it has been also been seen about it to develop the vast. Now, after moving out of different type of the scene and scenarios into the planning and administrative process, we'll be even seeing about the qualities of the administrators. Like when you're making out the planning, when you're doing of education planning, so you have an administrators who control each and everything. So that the administrator should have certain kind of quality, that is physically, intellectually, emotionally, mentally, this different type of quality where he perform himself into the different scenarios, different zone about it, where he shows about that kind of effectiveness and efficiencies to his work, where he can get a major impact and major control on this particular way of requirements, so that it has been treated into the proper way of scenario. So your physical, intellectual, personally, emotionally, he has that kind of qualities, because through that part of qualities only the thing is what he can show the socially moral qualities. These are the different type of qualities where the administrator should perform. And now after completing this qualities, he should perform through this type of quality. He should have that part of duties also through the administrative process, where he look after to each and every scenarios into the clear-cut zone, and through that part of clear-cut zone he gets an idea about it to see about not even for the institution, but even see about the human way how they are performing, because planning is a one different type of way of zone through which where the thing is a process which has been completed. It's a first step of an administrative process, because without education, as you're setting up in education, the first priority will be a planning, because without planning the thing is the process won't be incomplete. So here your chapter after getting over, we'll just brush it out whatever the concept we have been learned. First, we have been learned types of education administration. We have been learned about it, the two different types, that is totalitarianism, and second it is what democratical. The two-way different part of it, where totalitarian says about you are political, economical, social, okay, social, economical, culturally, where it has been set up the communities and it has been seen about it that way to perform the each and every duties. This was seen about it on the totalism way of an total way of performing of an education administrator. The second part we have been learned democratical, where coming out with the free ideas, coming out with the new different type of zone, because that will be treated a true and fair way. So this was the two types which was given a major impact, and even we have been learned about it, what is education, what is administrators also, and this two major part of concept has been developed. And finally the thing is what we are performing, we are getting out the new ideas about the education process. Already so many times we have been learned about the different process when we started of the chapters. We have been learned different term also, but into this term you have been learned about two different way. What is the two different way where the thing is education administration works? After this, we have been started with the help of education planning. Planning is an important concept. Okay, without planning, the things cannot be completed. As the constitution was built, slowly and steadily, once the rights of an education, this word was given a major priorities, major importance, not even to the any kind of year through when education, when it was passing through on that time, constitution did not thought about any racism, casteism, culture, any community. It has been not, it has been shown about the neutral, and through that part of it, the thing is what education has given a priorities to come out with the new ideas. So as the constitution was built, slowly and steadily the word right to an education was given a primary sources where each and every people should be qualified, should be having a knowledge relating to that particular way of requirement, because through that only the thing is what new type of changes, new type of occurrence can become. So that is why the thing is what this right to an education was given a priority. As the constitution was developed slowly and steadily, so then afterwards new planning set up, the new plans were set up, new institution was set up. First, the central government was taking care about each and everything, but slowly and steadily the central government has developed a certain kind of union bodies, and through this union body, the schools, college, institutions, governments, where he has been given a priority for the external and domestical way of education part of it to develop, come out with the help of new ideas and new trend to which we can develop the planning sources, because this planning related, they require the new way of changes, new way of inferring, new way of giving a perspectives to the education part. So that is why that was given a major priorities. Now, to that particular way of requirements, we have already seen about it, how important the education planning was given. We have been there, you have already been seen about the 25th way of planning process, where 25th way, where on that time, when the meeting was conducted, so the communities, so the people all was involved on that time, and through that part of their involvement, they have been shown the different type of new challenges, new way of importance to that part of it, to educations, where it was given a major impact. Slowly and steadily, the government given a priorities to the education, was given different type of benefits to the public and private one through fees, certain resources. Even we have been learned about the new trend, how the new trend was developed by through social media. The education has been flourished as globalizations are period, are been through technology, through labs, through acres of lands are being currently used for an education system, through the union body who have been passing the sentences and who are planning the syllabus. Even they thought about it to keep certain subject constant to each and every country, each and every nation. So at least if the same languages, if the same syllabus will be going on, so ultimately the students won't be getting confused, and it will be easy way where you can communicate. So that is why that has also been given on that part of it, where you can see about it, the new changes, new development into the education. So these are all planning system, planning term was already been set up, and through that part of planning setups and planning system,